What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am so glad that you are here today. And today's video, I'm going to be talking about the things that I've learned so far as I became a dad. Actually, if anything, the title of this video is called Things I've Learned Since Becoming a Dad. Now, I'm going to just give a full spoiler alert here. This is not my advice. I'm not telling you guys to do these things. I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. These are just things that I have learned since becoming a dad that I wanted to share with you guys, and hopefully it'd be either something you would take to consideration, but also two things that would just encourage you. I don't know how many of you guys are and gals who are here on this channel are parents. Either you have been a dad or a mom for multiple different years. You are becoming a parent, regardless of where you are at. I just hope this video really encourages each and every one of you. And that's what I want to do here on this channel. Not only do I want to talk about beard products and all that fun stuff, but I also want to talk about other things on this channel, like becoming a dad, being a parent, my faith in Jesus Christ, but also too the things of even being like a youth pastor and ministry, all those fun things. I really want this channel to be a great expression of me, but also too for just trying to be as encouraging to all of you as I possibly can. And so I hope that this video is that for you. And I want to share with you guys a few things that I've learned so far since becoming a dad. And the reason why I'm really passionate about becoming a dad, and reason why I wanted to do a video like this, was because when my wife and when I proposed to my wife, a few weeks after my dad had passed away from cancer, and when we thought that everything was fine, and that the cancer had been terminated, we were brought with the sad news that the cancer had come back and that it was going to spread. And unfortunately, my father, one of the toughest things in my life was seeing my dad pass away. And still to this day, it's stuff that I'm trying to work through, trying to process. Even as a follower of Jesus, death is not something that I enjoy, nor should anyone. It is something that is heart crippling, and it can be also very challenging to move forward. And one of the things that I had a hard time, moving forward, was not only not having my dad at my wedding, but also having my dad being a part of all the other moments that I was going to be having in the months and years to come. And one of those was when my wife and I, when we found out we were pregnant. And the thought that raced through my mind was how can I become a dad when my dad isn't even here to witness it? It was just really hard for me to become a father when I felt fatherless. And it was a lot of back and forth emotionally and spiritually about this. I had a hard time with this, I really did. And even still to this day, I have two beautiful sons, and there's a song by Trip Lee where he talks about this, where he talks about his dad not being there because his father had passed away. And he talks about in his song, and I can't remember, but I'll throw up here on the screen so you guys can go and watch it for yourself, or even throw it as a link here in the description so you guys can listen to it. It's a beautiful song. And but then he kind of mentions about how it was really hard for him to not have his dad for his first son, or for his first child, and now the second one was on its way. And I just, that song gripped me, because that was what I was going through. And the things that I've learned since becoming a dad, man, I only wish that my dad could see where I'm at right now, and I only wish that I could have him here to see all these things. But it just got me thinking about how important fatherhood is, not just in the context of like your family, but also in the context of our communities as well. And so I know how much of a struggle it can be for some. Maybe you grew up not knowing your dad. Maybe your dad checked out a long time ago and wasn't present for you, and that's sad to hear. Or maybe you're like me, where you've lost your dad at such a pivotal moment in your life. Regardless, it's hard not having a dad with you. And I know that can be troubling for a lot of people, including myself. And so that's why I wanted to kind of make a video like this to not only spark some joy and maybe some encouragement, but also just to remind each and every one of you that your dad may not be here, or maybe they are here, but they're not perfect, I want you to know that there is someone who is perfect, and that is God. God is perfect. God the Father is perfect. God the Son is perfect. God the Holy Spirit is perfect. God is perfect. He is a perfect Heavenly Father who loves you, who sent His Son to die on your behalf, who took on your sin and took on the full wrath of God on the cross to give you life. And if you want to talk about love, there's no one better to look to than the God of the Holy Bible. There's no one better to look to than Jesus Christ Himself. And so I just wanted to share that with all of you and just kind of share some more things with you guys. And hopefully you guys will find this interesting. But number one for me, since becoming a dad, and I have it on the screen beside me, so I'm going to kind of read off of it just so you guys know. But one of the things that I've learned since becoming a dad is that you will never be perfect. You will never be perfect. And I remember reading in a book by a guy named Jared Lopes, and he writes in his book called Dad, Tired, and Loving It, which is a fantastic book. It's filled with different funny stories, but it's also just filled with some really great insight, especially as a follower of Jesus. This was a book that I read a couple weeks just before my son was born, my firstborn, and man, it hit me hard. But he said in his book that your children they don't need a superhero. They don't need Superman. They just need you to point them to Jesus. And I thought that was just so fantastic, because the reality is that none of us are perfect. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to fail. There are going to be traits from our parents and their parents that are going to be instilled in us. We are going to fail at so many different areas in life. But the thing, and the most important thing that we can do for our kids, is to point them to Jesus. This most important thing that we can possibly even fathom is for them to know Jesus Christ. Apart from those things, if we try to point our children to, success, when we try and point them to a good career, we're trying to point them to the perfect spouse, all those things, what we're going to end up setting them up for is we're going to be setting them up for failure, because those things will fail. None of those things will ever provide them with the absolute happiness, absolute joy, the absolute perfection or anything like that. What those are they're good things, but they're not ultimate. And we need to point them to the ultimate one who can satisfy every need possible, and that is Jesus Christ. And so the thing that I've learned so far is that my kids will never see a perfect man in me, but they will see a perfect man, a perfect Savior, and that is Jesus Christ. And so my goal as a dad is to point my kids to Jesus every single day, and to remind them of his glory and his love and his and his sacrifice that he made for us on the cross, and his perfect love for us. And so that's number one for me, is that I'm not perfect, but I want to point them to someone who is perfect, and that is Jesus. Number two for me is surrounding yourself with other dads. I've learned this, that having a community of other dads has been such a joy for me. To have guys in my church who I can talk to about fatherhood, dads that I can talk to about the real things of being a dad and the struggles that we face. It's just so amazing. And I don't know if you guys aren't connected with the church, or maybe you have a group of friends that you can talk to. I really encourage you just to surround yourself with other dads. And I think it's so much fun, because not only can you be relatable to one another, but you can also be honest with each other and where you're at, especially as being a dad and a husband, which I think is so valuable for us. And I think sometimes parenting can feel very isolating. And the reason that it may feel isolating is because we just don't have that community of people around us. And so I really encourage you to find a community of people, a community of dads that you can really grow with, because I think that will not only be beneficial for you and for your spouse, but I think it's also going to be really beneficial to your children as well too, which I think is really awesome. The third thing that I've learned so far is to put the phone down and to live in the moments. Instead of trying to capture every single moment, you want to live in those moments. I have been off of Instagram for a couple of weeks now, and although being on YouTube and having a social media page and stuff like that, I use it to connect with students and to also connect with family members, and to also for all of you to meet all of you. I have found that being off of Instagram, like having it off of my phone, and not having Facebook or anything like that, even taking Gmail off of my phone, which I thought was going to be a really big challenge, it's actually been so rewarding. It really helps me separate, that life, that social media life, and to focus more on my family. I think, for me personally, the more I am off of these distractions, the more I can really focus in on my family has been just such a blessing. And it's also been just such a reward for me. It really has. It's just been so much, more freeing to not have to constantly post about things, to not constantly having to, show people what's going on in my life, rather just living in these moments and enjoying every single laugh that my sons have, or living in every single thing that they do. It's just so rewarding. And I don't know, there's something about when you can separate yourself away from that little glowing rectangle and to put it to the side so you can focus in on what's in front of you. It sounds super cliche, but I honestly think it's one of the most helpful things that I've been doing, and I'm hoping that I can keep this going. It's hard to not be on social media. It's hard to not check social media all the time, but I'm hoping that I can kind of continue on this practice for a longer period of time. And, I think it will be really beneficial. If you're someone like me who has a hard time with technology, putting your phone away, using it as a way to cope, using it as a way to get away from, awkwardness, if it's a way for you to escape, I think there's better alternatives out there for you than going on social media. And I think, first things first is just learning how to put the phone down and really helping yourself set up some healthy boundaries, which I think will be helpful for you in the near future. And then the final thing for me that I've really just learned since being a dad and also being a husband is never stop saying I love you. I think one of the best things for my children, and one of the things I've always wanted for them, is I never want them to ever say that dad never said I love you. I want my kids to, throughout their entire life, know that their dad loves them. And, either that's through my actions, which is huge. I also want them to hear it from me. I want them to hear it, even when they make mistakes, that I love them. I want them to know that even when they do something that they know they shouldn't, I want them to know that I love them. And even when they do the best things possible, I always want them to know that I love them. And it's not because of what they do. It's a matter of me pouring out that love onto them. I want them to know that I love them because they are my children. And so I think that has been one of the things that I've been saying ever since, my firstborn was born, and then my second, son was born. I've always wanted to say every single day that I love you. And I know it sounds super cheesy, and, even if I get a little smile from them that, after I say like I love you, I know for me personally that just brings so much joy, not only to myself, but I hope someday that'll bring a lot of joy to them, that they know that daddy loves them because he said so. And I want that to always be true. So, but those are some of the things I've learned so far since becoming a dad. And I'm hoping that I can do more videos like this, little vlogs or anything like that, to kind of showcase more of myself here on the channel. If you guys like this video or you found it encouraging, the only thing I can say to you is, like this video if you do like it, to leave a comment, maybe share some things that you guys have learned so far since becoming a dad. And if you guys like videos like this, keep, telling me that you would like more content like this, so I know, where the room is at here on this. But I'm hoping that we can do more stuff like this. And if you did like this video and you found it encouraging, share it with a friend and share it with someone who needs to hear any of these things that will, not only brighten their day, but will be that boost of encouragement for them as they continue on. And I guess the final thing, that I can say now that I'm thinking about it more and more, is that you're not alone. Seriously, you are not alone. You are not alone in being a dad. You are not alone in being a parent. I know that some people may be single and they have kids. They may be feeling like, life is kind of like they do feel like they're on their own. You're never on your own if you have Christ. You are never on your own if you are a son or daughter to the Most High. You are never alone when you have God. And if you don't know who Christ is, please message me. I would love to tell you more and more about him, but you are not alone. You seriously are not alone. And if anything, the enemy, Satan, only wants us to feel alone. And I encourage you to consider that you are not alone because God is with you. If you put your faith and trust in him, you are not only accepted, redeemed, saved, forgiven, but you are also never alone because of Christ and what he has done for you on the cross and through the grave. And so super excited to do more videos like this for each and every one of you. And until next time, we will see you guys in the next video. Take care. God bless. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, as I say here on the channel, keep your stick on the ice and treat your beard to something nice. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.